Welcome in to this very, very special edition of an NFL podcast breakdown. My name is Gabrielle Ducharme. I am joined here by multiple students from the Journalism Mass Communication 305 class. Guys, would you all like to introduce yourselves on the air really quickly?
My name's Sergio. And yeah.
Yeah, my name's Nick.
My name's Connor.
I'm Mirabella.
I'm Chaz.
And on this very special edition for JMC 305, we will be breaking down the top 10 picks in the coming up 2019 NFL Draft. We're going to get it started off. We're going to go just 1 through 10, really just talk about what we believe is going to happen in this very wild and crazy draft next week. Nick, would you like to start us off with the top pick?
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody around the United States knows that the Arizona Cardinals have the number 1 pick, and everybody has Kyler Murray pegged there with Cliff Kingsbury. They think he's going to be a really, really good fit for them, and I do too. I think that he would have a very good shot at working out, but I also think that they need defense, which there isn't that great of an offensive line. There isn't an offensive lineman that should go number 1, and that's why they will not take the offensive lineman number 1. So I think Kyler Murray is that next best option to where they would be able to score a lot of points because they did have the worst offense, but they also let up 52 sacks last year, which is one of the top ones in the NFL. Guys, what do you guys think? Kyler Murray, number 1 for sure?
Well, you just got to look at the general conversation around Josh Rosen. I mean, Josh Rosen was talking with Sports Illustrated this morning about how he basically said, if I get traded, I want to prove the Cardinals wrong for trading me. If I stay, I want to prove them right. He does not seem to know what is actually happening. Yesterday, the Cardinals tweeted out a preseason schedule montage that basically did not have Josh Rosen in it. They corrected that this morning, but that seems like damage control. It just seems to me that Josh Rosen, I personally believe his rookie season, I personally believe that his offensive line was a result of him struggling, but I think the Cardinals really want to make a splash draft pick, draft that, sexy, exciting, athletic player in Kyler Murray, someone who is an incredibly gifted athlete, a very, very very, very, very talented passer. He has a great arm. He's great at improvising and making plays on the fly. I think he's everything you want in a franchise quarterback. Yeah, as long as they get a good return for Rosen, I think it's a good decision.
I hope they get some internal line because at some point, if you have Kyler Murray, that's great, but you got to keep him protected as well,
Definitely one of the things they need to target in the later rounds are guard play. Their tackle play wasn't terrible, but it was the inside rush from the defensive tackles and the likes of, they have guys like Aaron Donald in their division, so they really need to shore up that inside protection.
And for the second overall pick, for San Francisco 49ers, I am choosing who I personally believe is the best player in this draft class. Very, very easy choice. I am selecting Nick Bosa, edge rusher from Ohio State. He is brother of Los Angeles Chargers defensive end Joey Bosa. And some people believe Nick Bosa is even better than his brother as a prospect and could potentially be better as a player. Nick Bosa has pretty much everything you want in a pass rusher. He has great fluidity, great movement. He's powerful, explosive off the snap. He didn't really ever get that much playing time at Ohio State, but he flashed such great potential. And even though the 49ers acquired Dee Ford in the offseason, you can never have too many edge rushers. And I think that for a team that really shouldn't have been picking second, considering their quarterback got injured pretty early on in the season, I think this is a great get for them. And it turns their defensive line from like a middle-of-the-pack to top 5 in the NFL.
Yeah, Nick Bosa didn't get a lot of hype because he got injured, and then he didn't play the rest of the year.
Yeah, he backed out of Ohio State. Got some heat for that. However, I think at the end of the day, that was the right move. He's not focused on school. That's not what his goal is. His goal is to be an NFL player, to be a top draft pick. And here, when you're looking at Nick Bosa versus Joey Bosa, the difference is Nick Bosa is a better athlete. He's more explosive, and he's a faster runner. However, I don't think he has quite the same hand development in terms of getting off of a block and getting to the quarterback.
And when you guys think about Nick Bosa, I mean, this is a 49ers team. They have a franchise quarterback who just got hurt last season. Is Bosa the piece to really launch this team into the stratosphere? I mean, Bella, Sergio, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that this is the piece that gets the 49ers back to the championship game next season?
I think so. I think he has a tremendous skill set, and it could be a really great thing for them to get him. The only thing would be his injury to think about in the back of their heads, but I think that he's definitely the best to go second overall pick for sure.
Yeah, I agree. He has a good skill set. He's fast. He's strong. The 49ers, they could really use him. So, yeah, their defense will just will just get way better if he's on their front line.
Yeah, his skills are second to none for sure.
So we've got the top 2 picks in already. These are probably the 2 most talked about players in this draft, especially Kyler Murray. But what about the 3rd pick? Who have you guys got for the 3rd pick?
I had the New York Jets taking Ed Oliver, the defensive tackle out of Houston. Now, he popped as a freshman, was a complete stud. Freshman, first-team All-American, absolute stud. The one question mark is his size. He doesn't have great length as he's only 6'1", and he plays around 280 pounds. However, he is absolutely lightning off the block. I mean, he is an elite athlete. He is quick. He has everything you want. He can rush the passer. He can stuff the run. I think he's going to be a great player for that New York Jet defense to build that core around the likes of Leonard Williams, Jamal Adams, and now C.J. Mosley, who they just signed in free agency. I think they go defense with their first pick, and then in the later rounds, I think they get some skill positions in wide receivers for Sam Darnold.
Now, this is an extremely spicy pick.
Yeah,
I like
it's
it.
for
Really
real.
get into because a lot of people, I believe, you look at Ed Oliver, he was generally considered like the first overall pick at the beginning of the college football season, and then as time went on,
Yeah,
his
he dealt with
stock
some injuries
fell
last
down,
year.
Fell down, injuries, arguments with coach. He had a very good combine and a very good pro day, and he's just kind of been lost among the conversation of this extremely talented defensive line class. It's a spicy take, but I do think Oliver is going to be a really, really good
Quinnen
player.
Williams obviously is a more prototypical size. However, like I said, I believe Ed Oliver's quickness off the snap into fire and flash between those gaps is what separates him from Williams.
I want to see how he does like mentally. I know him and his coach got into it on the field for wearing a jacket. Something so simple. And I've seen that a couple times in the injury that he had and whatnot like that. But yeah, really wasn't expecting you to take Ed Oliver on the number 3 pick, man.
Yeah,
I'm
neither
gonna
was
go-
I.
Yeah.
So-
What are you
Yeah,
guys thinking?
I mean, you guys talk
Oh,
about
we'll get
defensive
later.
players like kind of in this draft. Is this one of the best defensive drafts that we've had in a while?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, for sure.
For defensive line, yes.
From
Yeah.
the talent side, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to secondary, this draft is pretty weak, but defensive line class is historically
For
stacked
sure.
class.
And the Jets can go other ways too. They have a lot of picks, a lot of players to choose from. They can go Josh Allen, they can go Quinnen Williams. They have a lot of options right at the number 3 pick.
That kind of feels like
Trade
the theme,
options as well.
that kind of feels like the theme of this draft. Like a lot of teams, 1 through 5 especially, they have so much flexibility in that draft. But I mean, moving on to the number 4 pick, guys, who have we got at number 4?
At number 4, I had Quinnen Williams. A lot of people believe he's one of the best defenders in the whole draft, and he's really strong. He explodes off the line.
Yeah.
He's a superb pass rusher, one of the best in the whole draft.
So even at number 4 where you have him, I think he's very underrated at number 4. I love Quinnen Williams. If it were up to me, I would love to see him go number 1 overall because he absolutely gets after the quarterback. He's proven that time and time again at Alabama that he can get after the quarterback. In the SEC, where it's pretty tough going against some top
Exactly.
defensive line or offensive linemen.
The one caveat to him is he didn't play a lot at Alabama. Now that's saying something.
Yeah.
I mean, the guys in front of him were first round picks
Yeah.
for a reason. So he's very, very raw. However, the talent set is there. He 300 pounds, fast, can block. Or can get off the block, excuse me. He is an absolute stud, and the Raiders need to take the best player available because their roster is just not. It's not it right now.
Yeah, Quinnen Williams only has really 1 year of high-quality production, and that's what made him so highly touted. I know it's really, really lazy to compare star D-lines in college, saying, oh, this guy's the next Aaron Donald, he's the next Aaron Donald. For Quinnen Williams, he might be the next best thing. I mean, he might be one of the best. Like, as a 3-tech, he has pretty much everything you want in terms of strength, hand usage, pretty much
Yeah.
everything. He could be like...
Honestly, with that comparison, I see Ed Oliver more in Aaron Donald than I do Quinnen Williams. Quinnen Williams reminds me more of a different LA Rams D lineman and more of an Ndamukong Suh, where he's more of a physical presence and not so much a technique.
Bella, what do you think?
I was actually going to say that Quinnen Williams, there were some rumors going around that the 49ers were also interested in him. Obviously, the 49ers have the 2nd overall pick, so that would make them getting someone earlier. They could choose Bosa or Williams, but that rumor was going around. Obviously, they would choose whoever fits their system best, so I think there is a very good chance that Williams would be going to the Raiders as the 4th overall.
So I heard a rumor yesterday, a radio station that I work at. There's this rumor going around that the Raiders might try to trade to get into the number 1 pick.
Oh, wow.
And pick Kyler Murray at number 1 because they don't trust Derek Carr because Carr is too much kind of like an Andy Dalton or a Matthew Stafford. I don't think the rumors are true. A guy from the Las Vegas Journal who's covering the Raiders right now, as they move to Las Vegas, has said that it's not happening. But what do you guys think about that? Do you think there's any chance the Raiders could just say, screw number 4, we're just going to go up to number 1 and pick Murray?
No.
I don't see them doing that. I do see a team jumping in front of them, maybe to that Jets pick, to try and take a quarterback because they might be scared that the Raiders are going to take a quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fair
I think
enough.
the Raiders and John Gruden, I think they still really like Derek Carr, whether you're not, I personally think he's good or not. I think the Raiders are pretty.
They need those picks. Their roster's just not there yet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Too many
honestly,
holes.
it's one of the crazy theories that's, kind of swirling around this crazy draft. But, so say the Raiders stay at number 4. What about the number 5 pick? We're getting out of the top 5 now. Who's the diamond in the rough that's going to get picked there?
So for number 5, I had Devin White
My
going
favorite player in the draft.
Yeah, he's really good.
going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's a linebacker, going back to our best defensive class for the draft this year. But he could be one of the best linebackers in the 2019 draft class. He had the fastest 40 out of any inside linebacker since 2016, which is a crazy asset to have on the team. And also the Buccaneers haven't had that great of a defense the past few years and finished 27th overall last year. So I think that would be great to have such an explosive linebacker on their field, for sure.
Yeah, I would love. The thing with Devin White is he loves to lead with his head, and he loves to get into some penalty trouble and do
For
that.
sure.
But obviously, one of the most prolific
It's
inside
something that-
linebackers
Yeah,
in this
yeah, it's-
entire
However,
draft.
this guy, he is so fast on the field. It's not just in the
100%.
40. He is
Yeah, for
sideline
sure.
to sideline, everywhere on the field, making tackles, forcing fumbles. He's an absolute ball hawk of a player. He reminds me a lot of a very, very good linebacker for the Atlanta Falcons, Deion Jones. I see Deion Jones whenever I watch him play. He is like I said, he's everywhere. He's my favorite player in the draft. I absolutely love Devin White.
Respectable.
And he had the fastest linebacker 40-yard dash
Yeah.
too. So
Yeah, dude can fly.
So he can fly. He's got the power. How does he fit into how does he fit in at the number 5 pick? How does he fit in with that team?
Well, the Buccaneers did not re-sign Quan Alexander, and so currently they need a linebacker. Quan Alexander has the talent, but he had injury concerns, so the Buccaneers felt like they want to move on from him. I think Devin White's a pretty good replacement, and I think he'll be
He's that next great LSU
Yeah.
Tiger
Yeah, for sure.
linebacker.
he's going to be a major piece of that Tampa Bay defense going forward.
So it looks like Tampa Bay's got their pick pretty much in the bag. I think I saw that Todd McShay also had him
Yep.
going number 5. But this was Bella's favorite pick. Bella, who have we got going at number 6?
Okay, so I have Dwayne Haskins going to the New York
100%.
Giants.
Yeah.
Actually, something really funny happened yesterday. Something came out with him. He was photographed in a Giants hoodie on, I think, Instagram while he was boxing. And it's funny because last year Saquon Barkley was also seen in a Giants hoodie a few days before the draft, so it could be some foreshadowing heading forward. He could potentially replace Eli Manning, maybe not soon, but eventually.
He needs years to develop.
For sure. But it's definitely, I know in the back of Eli's head, he did say something in an interview that he thinks they're going to draft a young quarterback. So
Yeah.
why not it be Dwayne Haskins? He's got a great arm.
Great pocket passer, probably the best pocket passer in this draft.
Actually, I think it's Kyler Murray.
Okay,
I'm
listening.
that's
Yeah.
He's coming out
in
with
the
it.
pocket. Kyler Murray on tape he anticipates throws better, and the problem
Okay.
with Dwayne Haskins, his footwork is not there yet. That's the thing he needs to learn the most.
Yeah.
And especially as soon as he moves out of his normal 3 or 5 step drop, the accuracy just dips way down.
In terms of Dwayne Haskins' footwork under pressure is, for me, his footwork normally I think is good, but under pressure his footwork just becomes just so shaky, so inconsistent, and that's the biggest issue I have. I think Dwayne Haskins has a very, 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 very smooth throw motion. Yeah, Ohio State kind of had him throw a lot of crossing routes and checkdowns and stuff like that, but I think that if you gave him a lot of development, he could have just such a fancy arm. There are some concerns about him having a good deep ball in comparison to Kyler Murray. A lot of people talk about Dwayne Haskins' deep ball is just not being as good as
Well, Kyler Murray
Murray's.
just has a better arm.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that.
I don't think that yeah, you want a quarterback that can get outside the pocket, but you're not going to want one for a long time. Like a quarterback that runs a lot doesn't last in the NFL. And where Kyler Murray is going to get out of the pocket, it's going to hurt him more. Where Dwayne Haskins is huge, he can take the hits.
Oh, absolutely.
Kyler Murray is not going to take those hits.
Yeah, I was just about to say that's what I've heard is kind of the overall theme, like the biggest difference between these two quarterbacks. You got Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a man amongst boys. I'm
For
not
sure.
How tall is Dwayne Haskins?
Oh gosh, do we know?
He's I think he's 6'3", 225.
6'3",
something like that.
225.
maybe?
That
He's
is a
huge.
man amongst boys on the football field, and there are some very, very big people on that football field every week. I mean, so you talk about the 6th pick, you talk about the 1st pick. There's a couple of franchise quarterbacks, but once again, this is kind of a offensive lineman, defensive lineman minded draft. Who's going at number 7, guys?
Oh, so at number 7, that's mine. I actually don't have a defensive guy going. I got T.J. Hawkinson going, and this is my boy from
okay.
Iowa. I'm a huge Hawkeyes
really
fan.
mock.
I'm a
big
Hawkeyes
change.
fan, but this is not because I'm a Hawkeyes fan. This is because he is a great tight end. The Jacksonville Jaguars need a tight end because they picked up Nick Foles, somebody who's a very good passer. You're going to go out and you're going to pick up the John Mackey Award winner, the nation's top tight end. And not to mention, Iowa had another guy named Noah Fant who's going to go later. They have him going to the Patriots. We're not going to talk about that. But to get a tight end, get someone who's a threat, but who can also run block and who can do a lot of different things. If Leonard Fournette can stay healthy and the running backs can stay healthy, this turns into a dual threat offense right there.
I have a question. Is his run blocking what separates him from Noah Fant for you?
100%, and because he's able to get off double teams and make moves. Noah Fant was not able when he was guarded by somebody pretty good. He couldn't do a whole lot, and he really showed that this year because he was that name. And yes, that did allow Hawkinson to open it up a little bit, but Hawkinson was able to run block probably the best out of most tight ends in the country.
It's interesting because the Jacksonville Jaguars, their offensive line last year was
Is trash.
trash.
Yeah.
I think a lot of draft experts have Juwan Taylor from Florida, the tackle going
for
to
sure.
Jaguars.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's what I was
Yeah,
That's what I was
that would
thinking.
be a good pick as well.
I definitely
too.
could see Hawkinson though. I think that's actually, you pointed out. I was skeptical at first, but he could do a lot for that offense. He could do a lot for Nick Foles too.
He gives you options. He can block and he can catch passes and he can run pretty well for a tight end. But no, I agree with Juwan Taylor as well.
A very versatile player, it sounds like, at number 7. Guys, who's going number 8?
Oh, well, I had to change my plan because of a certain player who we have barely mentioned that just has completely fallen down the draft boards. The Detroit Lions, if this happened in real life, they would be absolutely ecstatic. I am selecting Josh Allen, defensive end from Kentucky / offensive linebacker to the Detroit Lions. Josh Allen initially had not much draft hype. He's a natural 4-3 pass rusher. He can also play in coverage. In terms of just speed, Josh Allen's speed rush is deadly. He's one of the best pass rushers in the draft. Some people are comparing him to Khalil Mack. Some people think Josh Allen believes he's better than Nick Bosa. There are some worries about him not having enough pass rush moves, about him not lighting up in a three-point stance enough, about his fluidity. But in terms of athleticism, in terms of size, and in terms of production, he was amazing. His college production was amazing. I think he's a really, really talented player, and for him to last to the 8th pick, this would be a dream come true.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Some people have him
Great
going
team.
at 3.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I thought that if the Cardinals were to take Nick Bosa, the Niners would probably take Josh Allen. For him to last to 8 would be a dream come true for the Lions.
Yeah. 100%.
I mean, so you talk about Josh Allen. He is easily one of the most talked about players in this draft. Guys, when he first gets into the league, what will he first be known for as a player?
Well, obviously, you have to look at what he does best. It's his pass rushing. It's what the Lions need. Their pass rushing over the last couple of years hasn't been what it is. Ziggy Ansah hasn't been quite the player that his contract is demanding. So it's a no-brainer if Josh Allen's still on the board to go and get the second-best pass rusher or outside pass rusher in this draft.
I mean, that makes sense. Okay, so we're getting a little bit near the end here. Number 9. Right near the end of the top 10, not quite number 10. Who have we got going at number 9?
I have Andre Dillard from Washington State, the tackle. Why are these things so...
Taking everyone that we did not think.
Throwing curveballs.
All right, here's the thing.
Right.
All right, they have Josh Allen. He's a young quarterback. You know, maybe you think go and get a tight end. Maybe Noah Fant here. However, I'm getting him a pass blocker. And Dillard is the best pass blocker in this draft. He played at an air raid system under Mike Leach, so obviously he's very equipped and able to do with maybe a spread style offense, the way Josh Allen likes to throw the ball, sling it around. He does need a little bit of improvement when it comes to running. However, the way that the Bills run the ball, it's more of a zone read run, so he's more comfortable with that.
Okay.
Yeah, fair enough. I just that was a curveball.
Yeah,
man.
that I was not expecting
It
that.
made complete
Especially-
sense. Like,
Jawan Taylor and Jonah Williams still on the board. I guess I could see Dillard instead, but
here's the thing. I just think that for fit-wise, it makes more sense for Andre Dillard in this position just because I feel like they need a pass blocker more than a run blocker.
Okay.
Fair enough. Yeah.
The football expert himself, Chaz, just kind of threw all of us a
Okay.
big curveball. Okay.
He said forget every other mock draft out there right now.
Right.
Okay, guys, we have one more pick. Number 10. Who have we got going at number 10 in this draft?
Well, the Denver Broncos, they need a linebacker, and if Devin White is still not on the board, then
Devin White was gone.
Yeah. He's saying if he's still on the
yeah,
Oh, yeah, sorry.
if he's not available, then the second best option would be Devin Bush. He's
Second favorite player.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
I love the Devins.
he's out of Michigan. He's a pretty solid player, the second best linebacker in this draft class. The Denver Broncos would use him pretty well.
Yeah, Devin White, or excuse me, I'm gonna mess this up too. Dang, Devin
Devin.
Bush absolutely wrecked house in the Big Ten, except for when they played Ohio State, obviously because they got blown out. But he absolutely wrecked. He's really gonna help out in the Mile High City if he is there at this pick. You know, the turn of events for them, they need that staple middle linebacker there, and I think this guy could definitely be it.
that's interesting because I felt like despite the fact that the Broncos traded for Joe Flacco in the offseason, I still feel like I think personally, although I don't like him as a player, I think he's a pretty bad quarterback. I would think the Broncos are probably going to select Drew Lock out of Missouri because they just need that guy in the future. I mean, hopefully John Elway isn't that stupid enough to think that Joe Flacco is actually
Yeah.
entering his prime, as Joe Flacco
How
said.
old is he? Like 30.
Yeah, Joe Flacco.
Here's the thing. If you're selecting the top 10, you got to know if Drew Lock is your guy. You got to know if it's Daniel Jones. You have to know. And with Joe Flacco, you have a couple years. He's Joe Flacco. Obviously, he's not going to light the world on fire, but he's an average NFL quarterback. You know what you're going to get out of him. He's going to throw the ball down the field well. He's going to be able to check the ball down. He's not going to make the flashy play, but you got to know if you're picking in the top 10. You cannot pass up a guy like Devin Bush unless you're 100% sure that Drew Lock or Daniel Jones are your guys for the future.
Well, see, Drew Lock was put in there as like one of the top quarterbacks.
I really like Drew Lock.
I do too. I think he's one of the better ones. I just think he got kind of screwed because he was at Missouri and he didn't have a lot of talent around him. But if you saw him play in that Georgia game,
The Senior Bowl, he was
That
the second
too.
best quarterback in
Yeah.
the Senior Bowl.
in the
behind
Georgia
Daniel
game,
Jones.
he played lights out almost all game. They just kind of let it go away in the fourth quarter, but he played really well.
Yeah, Drew Lock for Drew Lock, the arm talent is there. The big question is his mechanics in terms of his footwork and decision making. That's what scouts are a little iffy on. But
Yeah.
in terms of arm talent, if you can mold those mechanics into something
Yeah.
pretty well and help him cut down the mistakes, he could be a really good quarterback.
Honestly, I think it's more along the lines of him just learning an NFL playbook, and that happens with experience.
Yeah, 100%.
He has a quick release. He's got a strong arm. He can make every single throw. I really like Drew Lock.
Okay, I mean, you guys kind of mentioned a sleeper in this draft, Drew Lock being one of them. What would you guys say is like one other sleeper in this draft?
For me, I think a big sleeper is Brian Burns, the edge rusher from Florida State. Brian Burns has been getting mocked in the middle of the first round by a lot of draft analysis, but personally, I think Brian Burns is a top 10 player. I mean, people talk about how, he's undersized, he can't win against big linemen, but in terms of his pass rushing, his fluidity, his array of moves, his the way he uses his hands and his like whole stance and bend, it's just all proficient and elite traits. I think Brian Burns is just an excellent player. Just the reason why scouts aren't very high on him is because of his size.
I mean, well, there you go. From the sleepers to
Oh, I got one more. Hold on.
the biggest ones. Oh, Chaz,
I got a true
who's your
sleeper.
who's
I got
your
a true sleeper. all
Okay,
right?
who's your sleeper?
Hakeem Butler from Iowa State. This guy, yes, he had a couple drops in college in big games. However, he is 6'6", 215. He can run. This guy reminds me of Calvin Johnson. Is he going to be Calvin Johnson? No. However, as a second-round pick, maybe a third-round pick to a team like Indianapolis or something, I could see him being a guy that day one is an absolute red zone threat.
And you can't forget about our man, N'Keal Harry.
I know that's the one that I was gonna.
We're going. I thought she said like sleepers. N'Keal Harry's out there.
No,
Everyone
I
knows
know,
on
but
that
he's still. We're not positive he'll go in the first round. Although I'd love to see him on my team, but I can't wait to see where he ends up. And
Bella, who's your team?
the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Although we definitely don't need a wide receiver, so we may not need N'Keal. We may need someone on defense, but I would definitely love to see that man on my favorite team.
I mean, there's talk that N'Keal might fall as low as like 33, and he might end up playing for the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah. I've
He
seen
could even
that
fall below
early
that. He could
second
fall
round.
to early mid-second round.
And
Yeah.
the
Yeah, for
Cardinals
sure.
do need receivers too.
Yeah, they need a
Cardinals need a lot of
receiver to. Of course,
They
they
need everything.
they need a, they need a
Exactly.
receiver to be paired alongside Larry Fitzgerald.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, guys, we went through the top 10, from the sleepers to the guys who have been talked about for the last month and a half, the Nick Bosas, the Kyler Murrays. There are so many rumors surrounding this draft. Are you guys excited for next Thursday?
Oh yeah,
Hell
I'm
yeah.
excited.
Definitely.
On my bottom of the sixth show next week, we're doing a full mock draft preview, hopefully of the entire first round. So we got more sleepers coming then.
I mean, you heard it from Chaz first. Tune in to bottom of the sixth every night at 6:30, and from there, for all of the JMC 305 crew, the starting five, hit us up on Twitter. We're gonna be posting stuff throughout the week leading up to the draft. I'm Gabrielle Ducharme, and you just listened to the starting five on Blaze Radio from the Bill Austin Radio Studios in downtown Phoenix.